Yes, he is going to be their next president.
To win non-consecutive.
Before anything else, let's make one thing clear. Trump 2.0 will be nothing like Trump 1.0.
The 50th vice president of the United States.
The first time around, Donald J. Trump was a new boy in Washington, unversed in the labyrinthine ways of the US Capitol. This time, Trump has a much sharper understanding of the immense powers of government. Powers no New York-based construction magnate could ever match. Trump has learned to navigate the city's tough corridors and get what he wants. Trump 1.0 attracted a more moderate cadre of Washington insiders, military leaders, and top executives. Like former Exxon chief Rex Tillerson, who briefly served as Secretary of State, and they reined in his most excessive impulses. Trump's former chief of staff John Kelly openly tells people that it is impossible to work with him. This time, expect foot soldiers of the far right to take charge, like Stephen Miller, whose primary objective is to enforce a string of ultra-hardline deportation laws. He's promised to achieve a 100% perfect deportation rate at the border and complete Trump's costly and controversial border wall.
You would establish large-scale staging grounds for removal flights. So you grab illegal immigrants and then you move them to the staging grounds, and that's where the planes are waiting for federal law enforcement to then move those illegals home. You deputize the National Guard to carry out immigration enforcement, and then you also deploy the military to the southern border, not just with a mission to observe, but with an impedance and denial mission.
The US has an estimated 11 to 12 million undocumented immigrants, two-thirds of whom have been in the country for over a decade. Trump's running mate J.D. Vance has said that it would be realistic for the government to carry out 1 million deportations a month. Multi-billionaires like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen will be overseeing from above, eager to say minimal regulations in cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence development. They're looking to immediately rake in more billions than ever before via cryptocurrency, possibly undermining national currencies in the process. Musk will also be waiting with a sledgehammer for the chance to put his most radical ideas to work on how government should function. He'd like to smash many arms of government to smithereens.
You know, you get taxed on what you own, you get taxed on what you buy, and you get taxed on what you own. And it's like, okay, this is, you know, taxes, and you know, and then what does it get spent on? A bunch of the stuff it gets spent on you don't even agree with. So you know that's why we need to reduce the size of government.
Certainly, Musk played a prominent role in Trump's re-election by taking part in the rallies and constantly posting supporting messages on X. During his campaign, Trump openly disavowed what's called Project 25, the racist blueprint crafted by the extremely far-right Heritage Foundation. The plan includes mass deportations and seeks to make contraceptions and abortions as tough as possible to access and curb LGBTQ+ rights. One pressing question is, how would it handle existing same-sex marriages, such as that of Transport Secretary Pete Buttigieg? Will Trump and his right minions be able to push through such sweeping, almost revolutionary changes? Only time will tell. But where does India fit into the global Trump jigsaw puzzle? Prime Minister Narendra Modi lavished attention on Trump, taking him for a grand ride around the Ahmedabad Cricket Stadium in 2020.
I present to you my friend, India's friend, the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump.
Then he famously said,
"Ab ki baar, Trump Sarkar."
Lucky for Modi, US President Joe Biden doesn't seem to have taken offense. But India could be on tricky ground in other obvious ways. India is clearly in a sticky situation with the Panun case. Indian citizen Vikas Yadav was charged with directing a plot to murder pro-Khalistan leader Gurpatwant Singh Panun in New York last year. Panun is an India-designated terrorist and a US citizen. But friendly countries aren't supposed to carry out murders in the US. Number 2, even trickier is the possibility that Trump may slap us with tariffs as a counter to our own import duties.
He's also got a very tough line on trade. He has criticized India for its tariffs and said if India raises tariffs, we'll also raise tariffs on India. That's something we should be watching out for because it'll affect our companies and the viability of their exports to America.
But what could be Trump's influence on global issues? Given Trump's long-standing admiration for Russian President Putin, it's conceivable that the US could withdraw support for Ukrainian President Zelensky.
They got us into Ukraine. We should have never gone into Ukraine. If I was president, you would have never gone into Ukraine. This is not a charity event.
But can Americans afford to ditch an ally that has received billions in aid and advanced weaponry? An abrupt abandonment of Ukraine could embolden Russia to push forward with its long-held goal of annexing Ukrainian territory. And Trump's generals may have plenty to say on this issue. In the Middle East, a new Trump admin might again walk away from diplomatic initiatives and ratchet up tensions, particularly with Iran. During his first term, Trump had dismantled the nuclear agreement that Barack Obama negotiated with Iran. He could take an even harder stance this time. With Iran eager to retaliate against Israel for recent military strikes, could it be tempted to act before Trump takes office in January? Deterioration of US-Iran relations could exacerbate conflicts in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, dragging the entire region into deeper turmoil and potentially threatening global oil supplies. Trump's approach towards Israel and Gaza could also shift US policy in unpredictable ways, affecting not only Israel-Palestine conflict, but also fragile balance with Lebanon and ultimately Saudi Arabia's recent moves towards normalization with Israel.
I will support Israel's right to win its war on terror. You have to support that. Got to win, got to finish it off. And instead of pandering to the jihad sympathizers and America-hating radicals, we will deport them.
On a broad scale, Trump's second term could redefine America's relationships with NATO allies. His previous ambivalence, if not downright hostility towards alliances, combined with his admiration for authoritarian leaders, could prompt European countries to A. seek stronger fence pact among themselves and B. reduce reliance on the US. But that would be tough, as US contributes about 2/3 of NATO's overall defense budget, underscoring the scale of resources Europe would need to muster on its own. In Asia, Trump's America First policy might further heighten tension with China, especially over Taiwan and South China Sea. His direct, sometimes confrontational language towards China could unsettle the region, impacting trade, technology, and cybersecurity.
In Wisconsin, a state that he narrowly lost 4 years ago.
Trump 2.0 might bring a sharp shift away from established US foreign policy. This could set stage for a new global order, marked by rising nationalism, weakened international cooperation, and increased superpower rivalry. We should brace ourselves for an era of potentially unprecedented geopolitical changes and conflicts.
Narrowly lost 4 years ago. He is now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms